Hey, this is Rob from Keeping Up with the Cardassians. As you might notice, there are people missing today. And that's because I just wanted to share this time, just me and you, for the next hour and a half like we usually run. I, of course, would not put you through that. What we're doing this week is a little different because Joe worked pretty hard to get us press passes for Galaxycon down in Columbus, Ohio. He wasn't able to go, but Nick and I were able to, and we actually brought us a special guest. We went there with the intention to walk around, talk to people walking around, talk to comic book artists and celebrities. We were able to get some. We weren't able to get many, but we tried. So today's episode is going to be about that. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right, Keep Up with the Cardassians here at Galaxycon in Columbus, Ohio. Guys, tell me about the experience of getting in here.
The worst experience. Very difficult to get in, especially if you were pressed, but I'm thinking about the average fan who comes here. The lines are wrapped around to the point where you can't even get through security to get your passes. They have them completely locked out.
They cut the lines off, actually.
Cut the lines off where you actually cannot come in. They said it was too crowded, but we're in here right now. It's not that bad. And I would say if this was just our first experience like this with this con, that'd be different. But this is the second year in a row where we've really struggled to get into this place and also find someone who knows what they're doing. Because frankly, the people we asked for help were extremely rude and actually dismissive. So not a good experience to get in here, but we're hoping the con itself will make up for that, right, Sid?
Last year for me.
Yeah, that's our goal.
All right.
Jim, like, you got started at 13 writing comics for DC, right? What was that like at 13 to start writing comics?
Well, I mean, I love comics.
Yeah.
And my family needed money. And they're not going to hire you in a factory when you're 13.
No, right.
And so I kept trying to paper route and try to, you make a couple dollars a week.
Yeah.
And so I love comics. I thought, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
You know, and naive. But I wrote this book and this book and this book when I was 13. And I sent them into this man, Mort Weisinger, head editor of DC Comics, right here.
Yeah.
And he called me up. I live 400 miles away in Pittsburgh. He called me up and he said, we're going to buy these three and we're going to publish them. And I want to start using you as a regular writer.
Yeah.
I later found out I was a college kid. He didn't think, you know. And so he started giving me assignments. He said, your first assignment is Supergirl, 12 pages, next Friday. And there it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it wasn't like about a week.
At 13 years old.
Yeah.
Like, that took him
And I said, yes, sir. And I delivered it. And he was happy with it. And so I was working for him for a little while.
Yeah.
And then he says, look, I want you to get on a plane, fly up to New York, check into the hotel across the street, and I want you to come to work every day at the office so we can teach you some things. He said, we'll pay for everything. Don't worry about that. He said, we'll pay for everything.
Yeah.
And I said, kind of hesitated. And he says, how old are you? And he said, well, I just turned 14. He said, put your mother on the phone. So I had to put my mother on the phone.
Yeah.
And she was on board. We needed the money, man.
Right.
So I had to bring her with me on my first business trip. It's really kind of dorky having to bring your mother with you on a business trip. You know, but we had a great, this is where we stayed, Summit Hotel. They took us out to dinner. They took us to a Broadway show. Every day she'd walk around the city and every day I'd go to the office.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just magical. It was just amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't believe it was happening.
Yeah.
And it also helped my family.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's the thing. You're doing your passion and taking care of.
I just kept going at it. I mean, like, this was my regular monthly book. I did this every month for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then in between, I would do things like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
action comics, you know, or Superman, Superboy.
Okay.
Nice.
Like Superman, I did the first race between Superman and the Flash.
Ah.
They made me make it a tie.
Yeah.
I wanted the Flash to win.
The Flash should win.
And and it's his only power. Give him a break.
I know.
Amen.
But the thing is, like, so my original story, the Flash wins.
Yeah.
And the editor said, no. He said, whenever there are two heroes in competition, it has to be a tie. I said, oh, come on.
That's no fun.
Yeah, no. And so what I did was I engineered the story so they deliberately make it a tie. So at the end, you really don't know who's faster.
Gotcha.
And they deliberately make it a tie to thwart some evil scheme, you know.
Okay.
So I did Superman, World's Finest, Superboy in his own book,
Yeah.
Jimmy Olsen, Captain Action. The only Superman-related title that I didn't do was Lois Lane, and that was
Okay.
just luck of the draw.
Yeah.
It was just, you know.
Well, what was your favorite character to write for?
Well, I mean, at DC, I think Superman as an individual character and Legion of Superheroes as a group. Superman was hard to do, and I didn't do very well at first.
Yeah.
But I started to catch on. I started to get the idea who this guy was.
Yeah.
And I got better at it. Legion, I was pretty comfortable from the beginning because they were teenage heroes.
Yeah.
And I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just modeled them after my classmates, you know,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Okay.
At Marvel, I'd say my favorites were Spider-Man and the Avengers.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, there was just, anyway, I did lots of work for DC. I think this might have been the first toy-related comic book
Okay.
because they, Mort called me up and said, I want you to create a new title. And I said, what? Wow.
Yeah.
And he said, his name is Captain Action. He's got the Action Cave, Action Boy, Action Car. I'm like, what's the create? You know?
Yeah.
He said it's based on a toy. He said, you got to make all this make sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
give him a backstory, explain how he gets the powers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
And I said, all right. And so I did my best. The funny thing was, DC didn't give credits in those days.
Yeah.
If you were an artist or a writer and you were like sign your name on the splash page, they would white it out.
Oh, really?
Yes. If Kurt Swan would sign something, white it out. The only exception was Wally Wood. Wally Wood would always sign art by Wood
Yeah.
in that old English script he used to use.
Yeah.
And they never whited it out. And I think it might have had something to do with the 38 and the shoulder holster.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't
I mean,
hurt.
what he was always carrying.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, I used to do layouts for every panel of every book. And so, and Woody hated writers. He didn't write writers. But I did layouts. And so Woody said, he's not just a writer, he's an artist. And so he gave me credit. That's my first, that's the first credit I ever got.
I would. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Story by Jim Shooter.
That's great.
You got somebody waiting.
Well, Jim, thank you so much
my
for taking
pleasure.
time to talk
Thank
to
you
us.
very much. Everybody has.
No, that's not true. We have podcasts on Star Trek.
Oh, I don't know how cool that is, but yes.
I think it's cool.
All right, so you're in Star Trek.
Yes.
All right, what is your favorite series of the bunch?
It's a tie between Strange New Worlds
Strange New Worlds?
and I don't know. I've really been digging Voyager right now.
All right. He's a big Voyager guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really hard for me to choose. But Strange New Worlds, you know, like kind of my
Well, I mean, that Pike's hair is legit.
I know. You know, as someone who has had to draw his hair professionally and have paramount approval,
They had to prove the hair.
oh yeah, I had
Really?
to change it. Yeah, it wasn't, the coif was not large enough.
I tried to do that hair last year here. And it took so long to grow. I'm not Anson Mount.
Anson Mount is, yeah, I was about to say Anson Mount is like, he has like special magical hair powers.
Yes, it's
in my
amazing.
opinion. So, wish my hair was like that.
Oh,
so.
me too. So how'd you get in the industry?
Oh wow. I was a freelance artist here. Since 2015, 2017 maybe. And I've always loved, I collect comics. I love comics in general. And I did an anthology called Mine. It was a Planned Parenthood anthology for charity. And I did that back in 2016 or 2017, and that was like my entry point of working in comics. Ever since then, it's kind of gone there.
Yeah, so both my daughter and I like to draw. What's your process for actually starting putting pen to paper?
Well, right now I actually work digitally.
Oh, okay.
So, well, I do my covers traditionally, I do some pages traditionally. But most of the time I work with collaborators, so it's usually I get a script, you know, from someone and do the layouts first and then kind of work from there. But treat it like a 9-to-5 job. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, if I'm not feeling it that day, too bad.
Yeah.
Work on the panels that you really, really want to work on, so it makes it, you know, more fun that day, like kind of like picks me back up.
What's your favorite thing to draw?
I really like drawing horror.
Okay.
Yeah, which if you've read my issue 25 of Star Trek, it's very, very horror. So, yeah. It's fun. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Drawing like badass ladies.
I have one. Yes, question.
Oh, yeah.
So how does your voice come through in the work that you like?
In the work that I write.
Yeah.
I don't know, I tend to write, like when I do write, which is kind of rare, but it does happen.
Yeah.
I would say that I write a lot of things that I've always wanted to read but haven't read yet, so I think maybe that's more so. And I put a lot of myself into my writing, so I think that's probably the most my voice you can get. But it's usually a lot of trauma-based stuff, so.
Amen to that. What do we know about that?
Very sad stuff, you know, very scary, you know, whatever.
Hence the horn.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So hopefully,
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Taking
sir.
your time. Hi, this is Rob. I'm here with Bill Morrison. I have a question for you. So you drew the Rocketeer, right?
Yeah.
How'd you get wrapped into that? Or roped into that? Well, you know what I mean.
I was friends with Dave Stevens. I never got to draw Rocketeer while he was alive, unfortunately, but after he passed, the Stevens estate allowed IDW to do a Rocketeer series. And I'm good friends with Paul Dini, and Paul was writing a story for an issue, and he asked me if I would draw it.
That's fantastic.
And I think because of the fact that Dave and I were friends, Paul thought of me, and
That's fantastic. How long have you been in the industry?
since 1990,
Okay.
or 91 really. I started drawing The Simpsons in 1990, and then didn't start doing comics until 91 in the pages of the Simpsons Illustrated magazine.
What's your favorite thing you've worked on?
Probably the Beatles Yellow Submarine graphic
Okay.
novel.
Big Beatles fans out there.
Yeah.
Very cool. Is that your kind of music?
Oh yeah.
All right.
I grew up in a Beatles house.
Okay.
Older brothers and sisters were playing Beatles music all the time.
That's very cool.
My first Beatles album was Alvin and the Chipmunks sing the Beatles hits.
That's hilarious.
So while my brother and sisters were playing the actual Beatles albums, I was playing Alvin and the Chipmunks.
When I was a kid, my first exposure to them was their Christmas album.
Okay.
And that's kind of, when I hear that, I grew up in a pastor's house.
Uh-huh.
So it's either that or Amy Grant's Christmas
Uh-huh.
for years, years and years. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Anything
welcome.
you wanted to talk about that you're doing now?
Well, I'm working on Roswell Little Green Man, which is a script that I did back in the 90s. It was actually a script that Dave Stevens was a fan of.
Very cool.
And that's kind of how Dave and I became friends.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I'm resurrecting that after many years and bringing it back. So,
Well, thanks for your time, man.
yeah, you bet.
biggest crime in Reno you had to face?
So here's a real problem in Reno right now. And if you go to their website or look up anything in Reno, there is a major problem with people bringing bullwhips into town.
That's me, I'm sorry.
My hand to God, it is a real problem.
Is it really?
They've put a video out about it saying, stop bringing your bullwhips into town. Just leave them in the car.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, we're trying to get bullwhips off the street.
All right.
As much as we can.
I love it. Hi, I'm here with Robbie Rodriguez. Two questions for you real quick.
Yeah, of course.
Spider-Gwen, you helped create it, right?
Yes.
Tell me about that process, please.
Well, there was no master plan. We did not have this idea to make this big pop culture phenomenon. Long story short was we just want to make a book for us.
Absolutely.
And it was just intentionally going to be for us. It was going to be a one and done. We were already trying to book other work after we got done with that issue, and then we got, it was just stuff we all three of us enjoyed, like the punk rock music side, the slapsticky like 60s Spider-Man stuff, the animated stuff. It was like we're just combining all our stuff together into the one issue, and like it was mainly just to pop ourselves when we read it, but that was like it's weird how it's like people love it. And
Yeah.
like, yeah. Like say we did not know we were onto something because the issue came out, and then we got the call like, hey, you guys are sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a good feeling.
It's a good story.
Yeah. So that's how it happened.
Okay. Now, your approach to drawing, obviously you're very good at it. How do you approach it?
I guess it depends on like what I'm doing. I mean, like doing it so long, it's hard to get that jolt of inspiration.
Yeah.
So now I just have to meditate and like think about what exactly I'm going to do, and like, cause I'll listen to music, whether it be stuff with lyrics, stuff with not, just to like conjure up something with it. It's like a weird magic, summoning type of like process I go to, but like that's how I do it. And then like, as far as technique-wise, I'm studying all the time.
Okay.
Studying. Even when I think I think I have it, I'm asking other artists like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you do this? How do you do that? Because I want to learn. It's like get better. So that's the goal. It's just keep getting better. Like just. I think when you stop growing, you get bored about it. And then you're just like a machine. And then like so it's always like important to just keep growing with your art skill and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you mentioned you listen to some music. What would be on your playlist if you're drawing, writing?
It depends. I do make playlists depending on the book for the feel I want. So I go to the project. Currently, I'm listening to. I'm a big Britpop fan.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm currently listening to Vaccines, Miles Kane, Arctic Monkeys, The Subways. Like when I'm like, because I like doing very poppy like type stuff like that. So that really gets me going. To
with an
figure out
energy.
stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much.
No problem.
Very much, Robbie.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
You too as well.
Take care.
Yeah.
John Jackson Miller here, writer of Star Trek novels, Star Wars novels, and also the new Batman Revolution, Batman Resurrection, which takes place in between Batman Returns. I was just mentioning to Nick here that one of the first characters in the novel is one of the first characters you see in the Batman movie. Yeah. Nick and Eddie are the two guys at the beginning who are fighting over the credit cards that they've stolen, and then Batman shows up. Well, they show up again in the opening to Batman Resurrection.
No
Nice.
Oh, I'm looking forward to
Batman
that.
Resurrection comes out, is already out in hardcover, audiobook, and ebook. My sequel, Batman Revolution, comes out in October or in the fall rather, of 2025.
Okay.
So we're going with.
Where does it get these wonderful toys?
Yeah.
Now, where'd the idea for the book come from?
Well, I saw the movie in the theater 12 times.
Oh, wow.
And no, it was always on. People say this is a dream project. I never dreamed it was possible because I never dreamed you could actually license just certain movies.
Yeah.
And then with the Batman '89 comics and then the Flash and everything else, and it suddenly he said, we want you to do some novels. And I'm like, okay, did you see the movie 12 times in the theater? I said, yes, I did.
Yeah.
Got the ticket stubs.
Yeah.
As Star Trek and Batman people, we were drawn to this table, so.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Well, and I'm a Star Wars junkie too, like all three of them.
Well, this was weird because it is the first novel I've written on Earth in relatively the modern day.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
My most recent Star Trek novel, which was the High Country. I have a science advisor from. I have the senior scientist at Fermi Lab, handling the particle physics part of it. I've got a guy from the Carnegie Foundation handling the planetary, the planetary science part of it.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine who's a breeder handling the equestrian part of it in terms of scientific advice. But other than that, it's all in the far future. And if there's something that you don't know the answer to, you invent a device.
Yeah, of
Or
course.
Star Wars, you would say, well, the droid will do it. And you
don't
never
have to
explain what it
it.
is.
Science fantasy, right? Yeah.
But for this, I had to know things.
Yeah.
How do firefighters respond to a burning building? How do autopsies work?
Yeah.
How long does it take a body to decompose? My search history was fascinating. How long, or rather, how much does a traffic signal weigh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
None of the stuff I ever had to care about.
Yeah.
But I do here.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you, man.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate the time.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll be back on Monday. We've got to get back to our Best of Both Worlds Part 2 and family from Star Trek The Next Generation. Of course, we'll bring you all some pop culture goodness. And you can call us at 734-494-0980. Leave messages, hate mail, whatever you need to do, text, voicemail, all the above. And you can hit us up on Instagram, YouTube, the usual. We actually just switched our podcast host over to Podbean. So if you grab your podcast there, if you could rate and maybe even leave a comment about how much you love us, that'd be great. Otherwise, we'll be back next Monday with a new episode, probably a little more regular. Check out Patreon as well. Have a good day. Thank you for watching and listening.